You know, Amy Winehouse only ever released 2 studio albums. That's it. But in the tiny 3-year gap between them, she went through one of the most incredible artistic transformations we've seen in modern music. And today, we're going to unpack the story of how that happened.
We're going to look at how she went from this super sharp, witty jazz singer that critics loved to a worldwide soul superstar whose art and her real life became, well, tragically tangled up together.
And that's really the big question, isn't it? It's a question that takes us right into a story about love, about massive heartbreak, and about that strange, almost magical process of turning deep personal pain into something timeless.
To really understand Amy Winehouse, you've got to start with the paradox right at the center of who she was. It's this fundamental contrast that shaped her music, her life, and yeah, her legacy.
I mean, just look at this. The differences are night and day. Frank was this cool, sophisticated jazz album. The lyrics were all about her looking out at the world, kind of cynical, super observant. Then, just 3 years later, you get Back to Black, and it's a completely different beast. A 60s soul masterpiece that flips the camera around and looks inward. It's deeply personal, totally heartbroken. And then, look at the sales. 1.5 million to an absolutely staggering 20 million. That's not just an evolution, that's a revolution.
All right, so let's rewind and start at the beginning, with her debut album, because it's really important to remember that long before she was a household name, Amy Winehouse was already a seriously talented and respected artist. So her first album was called Frank, and that was a direct shout-out to her hero, Frank Sinatra, whose music she grew up on thanks to her dad. This wasn't just some random title, you know. It was her planting a flag, saying, "I'm with the jazz legends," right from day one.
And boy, did the critics pay attention. Her voice was already getting compared to the great Sarah Vaughan. Her lyrics were just razor sharp. I mean, listen to a song like Fuck Me Pumps. It's this brilliant, almost journalistic takedown of a certain type of girl. That's the voice of Frank. Cool, witty, and looking outward. She even jokingly called one of her early groups a little Jewish Salt and Pepper, which is just perfect. So yeah, she got a Mercury Prize nomination, and the point is, Amy Winehouse was already the real deal. A sophisticated, validated artist.
So the big question is, what on earth happened? What was the spark that took her from those smoky London jazz clubs to the massive, raw soul of Back to Black?
Well, a lot of it comes down to this. In 2005, she meets Blake Fielder Civil. And their relationship was, well, it was a firestorm, all-consuming. She fell hard, not just for him, but for the music he loved, this whole world of 1960s girl groups like the Shangri-Las. So when they had this huge, messy breakup in 2006, all that heartbreak became the rocket fuel for her next batch of songs.
And this is where it all comes together. This is the moment that personal tragedy gets spun into a global phenomenon. So let's take a look under the hood at how Back to Black was actually built. It was pretty much the perfect storm of talent. First, you've got Amy's songwriting, which was just brutally, unflinchingly honest. Then, you bring in producers Mark Ronson and Salaam Remi, who totally got her vision for this old-school sound. And this is the genius move. They brought in the Dap Kings, this incredible retro soul band from New York, to play on the record. That's what gives it that live, powerful, authentic feel.
And the result? A worldwide explosion. Seriously, words don't do it justice, but this chart helps. The jump from Frank to Back to Black isn't just a step up. It's like launching into a different galaxy of fame, of success, and of course, of pressure.
And all that pressure brings us right back to the central paradox of her story. Because her absolute biggest professional high came at the exact same time as her personal life was hitting rock bottom. 5. Let that number sink in for a second. At the 2008 Grammys, Amy Winehouse won 5 awards in one night. No British woman had ever done that before. This was it, the absolute peak, her coronation as music royalty. She basically cleaned up. Record of the Year, Song of the Year for Rehab, Best New Artist. I mean, the whole music world was standing up and saying what millions of fans already knew. This woman was a true genius. But here's the thing. She wasn't even there in Los Angeles. She had to accept the awards by video link from London. And during her speech, she gives this dedication to her husband Blake, saying, "And this is for my Blake, incarcerated." He was in jail. In that one little sentence, you see it all. Her greatest triumph and her deepest personal crisis crashing into each other on a global stage. The pain that created the art was now playing out for everyone to see. We all know, tragically, that Amy Winehouse died in 2011. She was only 27. But her story doesn't just end there with the tragedy. It's actually been turned into something really positive. Her family started the Amy Winehouse Foundation, and its whole mission is to tackle the very things that took her life, to help young people who are struggling with addiction. It's such a powerful way to reclaim her legacy, to make sure that her struggle is transformed into real help for others facing the same demons.
And that kind of brings us back to this final, really difficult question. Amy's story makes us look at that messy, complicated, and often painful link between great creativity and great suffering. It's the paradox that defined her, her music, and the legacy she leaves behind for all of us to think about.